All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into something huge, a fundamental shift in how we create, well, pretty much everything. For decades, building software had this one single massive roadblock. But a crazy leap in AI has just, boom, completely obliterated it. And we're going to unpack this whole transformation through the really incredible story of a company called Replit.
And this quote right here from Replit CEO, I'm Jad Masad, this gets to the absolute heart of it all. The entire bottleneck of creation, it's shifting. It's moving away from execution and over to imagination. And that is a change so profound, it's literally rewriting the rules for what it means to be a creator today.
So to really get a handle on the new world we're walking into, we first have to understand the old rules, right? The system that's been running Silicon Valley and pretty much everywhere else for decades.
And for decades, this was the universal pain point. Seriously, if you ever worked in tech, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You have this infinite backlog of amazing features, new products, brilliant ideas, but your ability to actually build them was always limited by one thing: engineering time. It was the ultimate scarce resource.
Okay, so this brings us to Replit, a company that was living this reality day in and day out, until this moment of crisis just forced them to make a dramatic, all-or-nothing bet. A bet that would completely change their future.
So Replit started with this really noble mission, to make programming accessible for everyone, to create 1 billion software developers. The ambition was just massive. But by early 2024, that ambition, it was crashing hard into reality. The company was in some serious trouble.
And listen, not doing super well is putting it very, very mildly. The company was burning through cash, just staring failure right in the face. And this forced a really painful decision. They laid off over half the team. It was a moment of absolute total crisis.
So what do you do when your back is completely against the wall? Well, if you're Amjad Masad, you burn the boats. He decided to put every last thing the company had into this radical new direction, something they had actually tried before that didn't quite work: building with AI agents. It was a total bet-the-company pivot, no turning back.
Now, you just don't make a bet that big unless the underlying technology has taken a quantum leap forward. And guess what? It had. This is where we get to the real engine of this whole revolution. So first, let's be super clear on what we mean by an AI agent. This isn't just a chatbot that you ask questions to. No, an agent is a doer. You give it a high-level goal, something like, hey, build me a customer management app. And it can actually make a plan, write the code, use tools, and just work on its own to get it done.
So why did this suddenly become possible? Why now, in 2024? The answer is this massive leap in what's called coherence. The older AI models, they could maybe focus on a complex task for, 2 or 3 minutes before getting totally lost? The newest models, they can stay on task for up to 7 hours straight. That is the game-changing difference between a cool little toy and a professional-grade tool.
But wait, it gets even better. The real secret to unlocking all this power from these new models is a technique called sampling. And this moves way beyond just hoping one single AI gets it right on the first try.
Think of it like this. Instead of just one AI working alone, you spawn an entire team of them. You basically unleash them all on the same problem, and each one tries a totally different approach. Then, you have an automated judge that runs tests on all the results and instantly picks the best one. You're not just taking one shot at the target anymore, you're taking hundreds of them all at once.
You know, it's kind of like that old legend about Steve Jobs, right? Where he would pit internal teams against each other to see who could innovate the best. The difference here, with AI, it's not expensive or politically messy. You can spin up 100 of these digital teams, have them compete, and keep the winning result instantly and for a tiny fraction of the cost. It's kind of wild.
So, what happens when you have this kind of power? What are the consequences? Well, when the tools change this dramatically, the builders change too. The question is no longer how to build, but who gets to build.
And the answer is, well, pretty much anyone. You've got product managers building and A/B testing features without ever needing to talk to an engineer. You have designers turning their mock-ups into actual functional apps. Founders are building their own prototypes from scratch. The barrier to entry hasn't just been lowered, it's been completely obliterated.
But this this leads to some very tricky new questions. Questions that engineering leaders are, frankly, kind of freaking out about right now. I mean, if anyone can just ship software, who's responsible when it breaks at 3 a.m.? Who's on call? Who owns the maintenance and fixes the bugs? This new empowerment, it creates a whole new kind of organizational chaos.
And it's not just about who's on call. A huge, huge challenge is security. Look, large language models are notoriously bad at writing secure code for critical stuff, like user authentication. And that creates these massive potential vulnerabilities for any company that's embracing this new world.
And tied right into that is the challenge of governance. How does a big company maintain quality standards? How do you make sure the apps can scale and guarantee they're reliable when, literally, anyone, anywhere in the organization can spin up a new service and push it live to users?
All of these new challenges, they all pop up from one central fact. We have solved the old problem. Which brings us full circle and reveals the brand new bottleneck that's going to define our creative future.
And here it is. This is the fundamental shift. For decades, the primary bottleneck was engineering. It was all about your ability to execute an idea. Now, with execution becoming almost trivial, the bottleneck is inspiration. It's your ability to have a valuable, worthwhile idea in the first place. The limit isn't technical anymore. It's imaginative.
So what's the most important skill in this new world? Replit's CEO offers this really profound piece of advice. Don't just learn to code. Instead, learn to make things. The value, the premium, it is shifted from the technical craft to the creative act itself.
Which leaves us with one final thought. You know, for our entire lives, we have been limited by our tools. But now, those limits are just vanishing. And the only thing left is the quality of our ideas. So let me ask you, if all the technical barriers were completely gone tomorrow, what would you build?